Hashtag coffee and chill.
Topic of the day: making your way through frustration.
Ooh, frustration.
So, today we're going to talk about making your way through frustration. It has been a day. That's all I can say. And, how do you find the silver lining in that frustration? Because personally, and you guys will hear me say this. Hey, again, wait, we didn't do introductions. So,
Hey, I'm Lee.
and I'm Tracy. Um, so now that we got that out the way, back to frustration and finding the silver lining. I, Tracy, honestly believe everything happens for a reason. Everything happens with a purpose. Today has been trying for me. It has been a trying day. I do customer service for a living, and I have been trained really phenomenally. The company that I work for shall remain nameless, but they really, really train us to provide phenomenal customer service. And customer service means that you really are taught how to listen to people, hear their concern, address the concern, and even if the answer is unpleasant or something they don't want to hear, you leave the customer feeling reassured that you do know why they called, you understand what their situation is, and you really are doing your best to help them. In our case, you know, we've been together quite a while. We've been married a few years, but together much longer. And this year we decided in 2023 we're going to do something amazing for us as a couple. We are actually taking our first vacation together. I love the water. I've always wanted to be on the water, so we were like, you know what, we're actually going to do a cruise.
She watched Moana one time. Nah, I'm playing. Go ahead.
Whatever. Yes, I do love Moana, but the water, I've always wanted to do a cruise, just never did. And personally, I haven't traveled in almost 17 years. I used to travel internationally quite a bit, but I haven't traveled in 17 years. And so this trip is conflicting because it's it costs, and my pockets, they don't like the cost. I'm pretty cheap when it comes to myself, never cheap when it comes to other people, but I'm
Very
working
true.
on it.
Very true.
I'm working on it. But anyway, back to the topic at hand: frustration. Dealing with this particular cruise company, I am a pre-planner, so I like to do things ahead of time. And you know what? I got up this morning and I said, today is the day I book our flights, so it can be one thing off my checklist and I can add it to my budget so that I know exactly what we're needing to budget and plan for. I get up, I go online, I go to the company's website, I book the flights. Great. Everything looks good. I'm excited. We're traveling with some friends, so we're really excited about this trip. And my friend just so happened to call and go, hey, you know what? Have you booked your flight yet? I said, actually, guess what? I just did it. She was like, oh, wow, let me call the company and let's get our flight so we can all fly out together. Wonderful. Super excited. Everything's coming together, right? Wrong. Everything comes together. I end up on a conference call with my friend, just making sure their flights are good, right? Beautiful. Something in my gut told me, Tracy, go online and just make sure everything updated correctly on the app. So I go online, I sign in, and guess what I don't see? My flights. They were there, but now after the phone call, they're not there. My friends' flights are there. I can see they've got flights. now Lee and I don't have flights. Frustrated, but totally understand that things happen. Call customer service. Very friendly. I know how this goes. Things happen outside of your control. The agent goes, oh, well, don't worry. Typically, it takes 24 to 48 hours for the flight to show up. But I begin to explain to her, well, ma'am, they were there, but now they're not. My balance doesn't even reflect that, I have these flights. And she goes, oh, wait, well, that's another situation. So she's communicating with her supervisor or whoever, and we're on the phone maybe 2 hours. Would you say, Lee, I'm on the phone?
Yeah, about
2 hours.
Yeah.
But I am pleasant and I understand. The agent I'm working with is doing everything she possibly can to help. But this situation is above her. Fine. She tells me that the supervisor will give me a call back today before close of business. Fine. Here's where the frustration comes in. So the supervisor calls me back. Great, thank you so much for taking the time to call me back. I know that's often difficult to do. Even when you promise a customer, it's still difficult to do. So the supervisor calls me back and she goes, well, it actually shows online that you canceled your flight. Excuse me? No, ma'am. That is not what happened. This is the scenario. This is the situation. She goes, well, it shows you canceled your flight and then you rebooked it. I said, well, ma'am, in the 2 hours that I was on the phone with the previous agent, when she advised me that my flights were missing and that they could not be found, yes, I rebooked my flight. The reason we're having this conversation is when I rebooked my flight, it was almost $200 more expensive than the flight I had just purchased that morning. She says, well, flight prices fluctuate. I said, I totally understand that. I get it. I really do. But I never canceled my original flight. And so I need you guys to make this right, because I'm booking the flight. I'm traveling with other people, which is why I had to rebook. The prices are going up. So I did not want to take a chance and miss flying with our other traveling companions, or that the flight be even higher than what it is right now. She says, well, it's not really anything much we can do because you canceled your flight. It comes from customer service. I said that, guys. So again, I did not cancel my flight. You want to get more specific? There's not even an option on their app for me to cancel my flights. Because in that moment, what I wanted to do was cancel my whole cruise. But I digress. Take a deep breath, and I begin to explain, ma'am, that is not what happened. I rerun through the story and explain step by step everything that occurred. She said, well, what I can do is send an email to travel services. They probably won't get back to us today because it's the weekend coming up. So maybe Monday or Tuesday. Fine. She says, what I suggest, however, is that, we shop around. No, ma'am. Again, are we going to shop around for my exact flights? She says, well, I'm just going to look and see if there are cheaper flights. Ma'am, as I mentioned, I'm traveling with a group. Oh, yeah, you did say that. I need you to listen to me. Listen. Not just to respond, but listen to understand. And that's where I became supremely frustrated. Because things happen, life happens, systems happen, things go wrong. But as people, I think we just want to be heard, and I think we just want to be acknowledged if something isn't right.
Right. So here's another thing, and I'm glad you touched on it. Imagine, right, listening and really just listening, not waiting to hurry up and have a rebuttal for something. A lot of times we're moving so fast that we want to hurry up and get to the next thing. And maybe she was doing everything in her power, maybe, who knows.
I believe she
I,
was. I do.
and you were good, because I'm glad I wasn't on the phone, because King Petty over here, and this is me being honest, I would have been like, the hell with you, your cruise, and the flight you came in on, because where you're paying for something and you want the best treatment. I wouldn't care if it was $1. If you're providing a service, right, and sometimes your brand is all about customer service, so you kind of said, if you guys go on a cruise again, what you said was, look for a different company. You look for a different company, because the first person I meet, the first person I come in contact with, they represent your brand.
They do.
And if they don't represent it right, then you're giving me a bad experience from the door. And, like she said, we are going on it with friends. If it was just us,
we would have been canceled.
I would have took the phone and said, you could stick this wherever you want, eat it, jump off a bridge. No, we don't want them to jump off a bridge. But like I said, my pettiness is just like, look, we're paying way too much for you to just go, just to get us off the phone. And can we trust you? Like,
that's my question right now.
We're putting money up, right?
I don't feel confident.
And we have a date, but can we trust you that everything is going to be right when it's time? That's the biggest thing. Or are you going to have a line saying, well, you did this or you did that? That's kind of rough right there. I mean, how many times have you ever thought, you could trust the person you gave information to do the right thing with it? And I do understand things happen, but that right there is kind of like, where is the silver lining? I looked at her and I was watching her face, and her face was doing a thing, right? Where I'm like, oh, she's about to snap. Yeah, it's coming. Yeah, buddy, I've been waiting for this. And then I was just like, no, let's keep her calm. Let's keep her collective. And things happen for a reason. We know God doesn't make mistakes, right?
Not at all.
So it happened for a reason. And
it happened to us, more specifically me, right?
Right.
And part of that silver lining to me is it happened to me, not you, or not even our friends.
Yeah, I'm glad not me.
Right.
We wouldn't have been,
but even our friends, I don't think the response that the customer service agents got, it would have been a little more aggressive or hostile. I have a different take and a different perspective. It's what I do. So I understand the other side of it. It is just, and I understand systems go wrong, things are above you. Did I expect them to be able to match the price? I even said to the agent, I said, listen, I understand if you're not able to match the price of the tickets, because that really has to do with the airline. But we're talking about almost a $200 difference from something I did this morning that I booked
to 2 hours later.
To a couple of hours later, you're telling me I canceled. I never did. You're telling me I canceled online. There's not even an option for me to be able to do that.
And the crazy part is, we went through the
company.
We booked
the flights with the company because they said we would make it easier. We had more competitive pricing.
And we didn't
this way we could guarantee our group got booked together.
Right. That's the only reason why we did it.
True.
For the group.
But silver lining for me, silver lining perspective. Number one, it gives me another perspective and a reminder when I am working, so that I take those extra minutes, or I take that extra time with whoever I'm with, to make sure I'm listening, not just to respond, but to truly understand their situation and how it could be impacting them. I thank God that I did listen to my intuition and check the app,
I'm glad she didn't
because,
listen to me, because
well, if I would have waited, that means we would have had no flights until whenever I decided to look at the app again. There was no need for me to do that. I would have looked at the app, let's say when it was time for me to make a payment in July. By then, I am sure we would not have been able to book flights with our friends. Who knows what the prices would have been? And that would be a whole other situation.
right.
The other silver lining to me is God makes no mistakes. And so with this all happening, it led us to maybe rethink some of the ways that we're traveling, or rethink. So if this company is showing us that their quality of care is not what we originally thought it was, maybe we should take some extra precautions to make sure that we do our due diligence, to make sure we are there at the right time, that we do everything in our power to kind of avoid any issues. And it made us even consider, you know what, maybe we should actually get there not just hours, not just 6 hours before the cruise.
The day
No,
before,
let's try to get there the day before.
right?
Because if anything should divert or go outside of what was planned, we still have the time, the availability to course correct and make things right. And it's also that silver lining. I'm like, all right, God, there was something you wanted me to see. There was something you wanted me to take notice of. There's a lesson in this for me specifically, because I am the one who it's really happening to in that moment. And it makes me self-assess, and it makes me look at me, especially when the person who frustrated me today could be how I potentially frustrate somebody in the future just by doing my job.
That's you know what? That's a good point. I'm not taking that point, but yo, that's a good point. But um, today's podcast, Coffee and Chill, is brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts, because really that's all we drink is Dunkin' Donuts.
It's not sponsored though,
It's
for
not
real,
sponsored.
y'all. But Dunkin', if y'all out there,
Yeah.
that's all we drink is y'all. So,
Yep. Yeah, I don't have enough education to order from Starbucks. Too much going on. You got too much going on. Anyway, we're out. We appreciate it. You guys have a great day. Don't forget.
And I'm sorry if I was long-winded, y'all.
Hey, this is what we do.